want to walk you through everything. Every one of us on here is doing personal development of some sort, I assume. Anybody, any hands as to who's not doing personal development? Right, it's part of our 10 core commitments. Reading 10 pages of a good book or watching a video, maybe nowadays a podcast. Well, this is a little bit of a test to see where are you in your personal development, if you will. So bear with me here, and I want you to all look in the camera, look at each other, and every question I ask you, you're going to answer no. Okay, I'm giving you the answer. You're going to answer no, and just go along as I'm asking these questions. Just go along with the feeling of it, but say no matter what. All right.
Oh.
Somebody's unmuted. I'm gonna let you do the muting. Yeah, there you go. Annette, you're on it, right? So here we go. Every answer is no. Do I need to say that again? So here we go.
No.
Thank you. In fact, you can unmute for this part, but y'all please be respectful. And we're gonna mute right out afterwards. So always answer no. Here we go. Are you happy?
No.
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 Do you feel
No.
loved?
No.
No.
Do you feel respected?
No.
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 Do you feel worthy?
No.
No.
Do you feel appreciated?
No.
No.
Do you feel wanted?
No.
No.
Are you going to let this stop you?
No.
No.
Going to give up on your dreams?
No.
No.
Going to quit?
No.
No.
Are you going to let anyone take away your light?
No.
Definitely not.
Are you going to let anyone stop you from being the amazing person you are?
No.
No.
Thank you. So how did that feel? Please, everybody mute back out. Give me a thumbs up, a reaction. At the beginning, did that pull you down? And did you feel any different when you started coming back up again? Right? And it's all in the questions we ask and how we answer. I heard that earlier today, and it was so powerful. Hear those first questions, and they just make you can't even say no. Somebody says, do you feel loved? And you say, no, wait, no, yes, my kids love me, right? And it really shows you the power of the way we ask questions, how we ask questions. We do this all the time. Sometimes we don't pay attention to how we talk to the people that we're talking to get the answers. We always talk about getting yes answers, getting 3 yeses. You've all heard that before. This is something that I don't know how all of you feel about it, but I love AI, and you can use ChatGPT to get ideas for kind of questions like that. How can I ask this question in a positive manner? That we get good ideas on how to talk to people. But oh, good. Do I see Mr. John Hoffman just came on? We will see in just a moment. He is muted. No, it was Mrs. John Hoffman, Teresa. That's okay, Teresa. It's all good. So we have Teresa with us. And I'm going to go out now because we don't have John Hoffman. We did that exercise. I don't know how the effect of that was on a Zoom, but I hope some of you felt the difference. And I'm going to go out to Paul Archuleta, a $150,000 ring earner, and he is just busting it. And just get some wisdom from you tonight, Paul.
Oh, all right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I appreciate you
like
guys.
Off the cuff, right?
What's that?
Right off the cuff.
Right off the cuff. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I think what we can talk about tonight, if it pleases the court, is there's a book there that I can definitely go right off the beginning part. And I did this training before for a group of people on the solution side, but it applies to everything that we do, and it's with Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I was at a conference. It's been quite some time, and Stephen Covey was going to be our guest speaker, and one of the questions that was asked is, how many of you have read this book? By a show of hands, who's read this book? And a lot of hands went up. And at the time, I had not, read the book. So I didn't raise my hand. But then he said, okay, so the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And then he said, I have $100 here. Who can give me the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People right off the bat, since you all read it? And every hand went down. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't ever want that to be said of me if I read the book. But he said, I did that exercise for a reason. He said, because a lot of times you're reading all this stuff and you're not letting it, you're not even really reading what it is that you're reading. You're not letting it affect you. So then we went on a trip. I believe it was to the Riviera Maya, and I bought the book. And I said, you know what, I'm going to read it, but I'm going to read it to where I know what it's saying. And I for me, it always has to be something very, very simple. If I'm going to teach it, so my background's a teacher. I was a Spanish teacher. And so when I was teaching Spanish as a high school language, I always wanted to teach it where you were able to speak it. Eventually, some Spanish teachers say, well, why do you teach the Spanish language so they can speak it, as long as they can, take a test out of a book? And I would always say, well, I don't want them getting beat up in a Spanish country. So I want to make sure that they can actually communicate the language. So the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, here it is from my perspective. And you can take notes if you want, or you can just let it kind of roll into your system. But I came up with the acronym PBJ-WUS. And of course, the only reason why I'm probably sitting in front of you right now is because of PB&J. So that's one of my favorite meals that I was able to cook in college. So PBJ-WUS, if you can remember that, the 7 habits of highly effective people. The first P begins with planning. So if you want to be effective in your Legal Shield business, you have to plan ahead of time when you're thinking of whatever your day is going to look like. And a lot of people don't do that. So a lot of people, you ask them, and I was included in that mess as well. So I'm not saying this like, hey, I've always done this, but you want to, even when I was a teacher, you want to know what your day is going to look like. So what is your plans for tomorrow? For example, if I'm going to be effective with Legal Shield, and if your answer is, I have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow, but I want the results, I want to be successful, then you didn't plan enough. You have to plan for that success. So the P starts with planning. What does your planning look like? And I would highly suggest, that you write it down, not just plan it in your head. Because first comes thought, right? You're thinking about, what am I planning on doing? But then you should write it down, okay? And the more precise, the better the results. And if you have it, and it's always better to over plan, right? You should not get done with every single plan. If your whole plan is, I'm going to talk to my uncle Louis about Legal Shield, and what if Uncle Louis doesn't answer the phone, or what if he's busy, or what if, so you should have a couple of backup plans. So make sure that you have enough that you can do that. Okay, the B, so PB, begin with the end in mind. What result are you looking for tomorrow at the end of the day? So am I looking to recruit 5 people? Am I trying to open up five group accounts? Am I trying to get 5 small businesses going with Legal Shield? But what does the end result look like? And a lot of times we don't have that at all, but yet we want to be Performance Club qualified. We want to go on this Jamaican trip and all that. And we're waiting for the company to give us that end result. You can't do that. A lot of people are planning to go to Oklahoma, which is a good idea, but they have no idea what the end result is going to be after that. They're just, hey, I'm just going to go to Oklahoma and I'm going to have a good time over there. I'm going to take some notes, but other than that, I really don't. So you have to begin with the end in mind. All right. And then J, so just do the first things first. You want to do the first things first, and that comes from Canfield, Eat That Frog. So what you want to do is the hardest things for you to do. If it's, hey, I need to contact, I really want to contact this guy or this gal to become an associate, but they're on your chicken list. In other words, and Darnell Self did a great job with that. He's like, you get up in the morning and you're like, hey, I'm going to call this person. Well, it's a little bit too early, right? I don't want to call them too early. They're probably, getting the kids ready for school or something. I'll call them a little bit later. Then a little bit later, you're like, well, you know what? I'll call them for lunch because they're probably busy. They're probably at work. And then lunch comes and you're like, they're probably eating. They don't want to hear from me. And I'll call them I'm going to call them at 2:00. Then 2:00 comes and you say, you know what? They're probably busy again, but I promise I'm going to call them this evening. And then this evening comes and you say, you know what? They're probably getting the kids ready for, what if they're helping their kids with homework? I don't want to bother them when they're bugging their kids with homework. So, or helping their kids with homework. So, you just never get it done. And the biggest killer of our business for sure is procrastination. So you don't want to procrastinate that. Just do the hardest things that you can think of on your list. Do those first. If you need to like organize your paperwork and all that, although I need to do that myself, but you could do that later. You want to do the hardest things on that list first. Get those done right away. When the daylight is burning, that's when you need to get it done. You don't want to go 15 minutes before the Shield Nation call and go, you know what, I should really invite my team on. You should, if that's a hard thing for you to do that early, and don't give yourself an excuse not to. Here's another thing that I do, little trick. I mean, if it works for you, great. I have a Google Calendar. It's free, and I just write everything that I want to do on my Google Calendar. Then I hard copy write it. But the way I trick myself is I say, if it's on my calendar, I have to do it. I have no choice. I got to get it done. And that's how I do it. Whether my team is behind me 100% or, whatever's on that calendar. When I tell somebody I'm putting you on my calendar, I'm telling them you are going on my calendar and I'm going to contact you. So just so you know, tell me now if you don't want me to put you on my calendar. So that's just doing those first things first. And if there was another exercise, I think it was Don Thompson, if I think correctly, but he did, and many other people have done this, but it's called the rocks, the pebbles, and the sand in a mason jar. And the rocks, the pebbles, and the sand, the only way they fit in the mason jar is if you put the big rocks in first. And those are the most important things on your schedule. You need to put those in first. The pebbles are, this could be considered kind of a pebble. I should be on this call. A pebble. Sand is, hey, I want to watch Cobra Kai or something, and I'm going to order a pizza. But guess what? A lot of people, including myself, totally talking from a standpoint of I've messed this up worse than you ever could. Do all the sand first, and then a few little pebbles, and then guess what? None of those rocks fit. And that's where that example comes from. So after the J, just doing the first things first, comes the W. And what do you guys think W stands for? Winning. You have to believe and psych yourself up for winning. And I'm not advocating boxing or anything like that. You guys probably don't like the sport, hate it. But I guess we can use this example again. Mike Tyson. So if you think of Mike, Iron Mike, and that was during my era, and I guess it's now my kids' era or whatever, you would never hear Mike like getting ready to fight somebody or something, and him say, you know what, I'm kind of scared, guys. I really don't know if I'm gonna win this fight. I just, I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do the best I can. Like, you would never hear Mike say that. Mike would be so determined. Like the other person is looking at him like, oh no, here comes Iron Mike. And I'm sure whether he admits it or not, the guy that he's about to face is probably thinking the same thing. I mean, this dude will bite your ear off. I mean, he's so determined. He's gonna win no matter what. And you got to be a little cocky, a little, I'm gonna do that. A lot of people you can't worry about that. I'm sure a lot of people even said that about me. You know, they're like, oh, this guy, you know, he thinks he's all this and that and whatever. And it's not that. It's just you have to have that winning mentality. And I always tell my team, like, when they're gonna go get a recruit or do something like that, you know, you say, well, what do you think your odds are? And they say, well, you know, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try it. And I said, no, you're going to go do it. You're going to go do it. And you know what? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But you have to believe. You have to believe that you're going to win. You have to believe that in your whole heart of hearts. When you're watching a ring earner get handed a ring, and I'm going to get I'm getting my 150. Nowhere near where I want to be by no means, but I'm getting my 150 in Oklahoma. And I should be getting my 200, my 300, my 400. But when I get my 150, I believed that I could do that way before they gave me the ring, way before. A matter of fact, I'll tell you exactly when it happened, October. So in October, I'm giving you a little bit of a sneak peek of Oklahoma for you guys to be there. But in October, I called the executive director line, the ED line, and I don't know if for those of you who've ever talked to her name's Robin, but Robin picked up and I was asking her, I can't remember what question I was asking, but it had nothing to do with my new ring. I asked her something totally different, and she said, oh, that's a good question. You're only $47,000 away from your new level, but I'm not supposed to tell you that. And I thought, wow, I didn't even ask that. And then I thought, maybe I should have asked that, you know, but she just answered that. I had no clue. But then I became, I all of a sudden, it was like a lightning bolt. I was like, you know what, laser focus. And I was like, if I only hit, you know, if I hit 17,000, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I've never hit 17. If I hit 17,000 this month, I'll be close. You know, I aim for the moon. And, you know, if you miss, at least you'll be in the stars. Let's do it. Right. So I went for it and I hit it. And then the next month I said, well, okay, I got to do better than that. So I got to go above that. So I went after it the next month, which is November, and I hit that. Then I said, okay, now you're going to have a really big month. I have to hit 21.5. I have to go 21,500. I'd never done that before. And I went after it and I hit it. I hit the number. And I was like, you got to be crazy. So then January, I was already on cruise control and I shouldn't have done that, but I was like, you know what, if I hit just this number, then I'll hit it. Well, then guess what? I got a rude awakening from corporate. I sent them an email and I had kind of figured where I was based on Robin's conversation. And they send me a depressing email. Not that corporate would ever do that, but they said, hey, you're this far away. And it was like way farther than what I thought. So I was like, oh, dang it. I thought I was like way closer. I got this depressing email. I read it. I'm like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to go get it no matter what. Maybe not this month, whatever. And then the next day, John Hoffman called me and said, hey, congratulations. You got your ring. And I thought, okay, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about, but okay, right on. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. You know, and then we hang up because I had the email from corporate, and corporate called me the next call and said, hey, we made a mistake. You got your ring and you had a bunch of residual coming in and we didn't count for that or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, that was pretty good. But anyway, I believed I could win that. And I want to ask you to believe that yourself. Let me give you one more quick example. When I first started Legal Shield, when you would, you know, take a horse to get to school and all that, 2008, they didn't have the $50,000 ring. That all they had was the 100. And I'm being totally transparent, so hopefully nobody gets upset on this call. And if you do, you can take it out on Jane. But when I first got started, I would look at the 100, and I'm being honest with you, I never thought I could hit that. I never did. I was just like, there's, you know, that's nice. You know, yay, good job. You know, I wasn't really clapping like I really should have. But then they announced a $50,000 ring, and I was like, you know what, I could do that. I know I can do that. But you have to believe that. And then I got that, and then the 100 was faster than the 50, and the 150, I just told you, I got the laser focus or whatever you want to call it in October, and I got 150, and I was at 100 for I don't know how many until I just decided I was going to do it. But it can happen that quick, but you have to decide. So decide that you're going to win. All right, you understanding the other person. So you want to make sure that anybody you're talking to, Legal Shield is great. Don't ever get me wrong. I love Legal Shield. I love me some Legal Shield, like Tony Petrel says. But what you want to do is you want to understand where your associate is coming from that you're talking to, where your team is coming from, where the groups are that you're trying to get are coming from your small business. You can talk to them all day long about Legal Shield, but everybody's tuned into that same radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And if you are not understanding where the other person is coming from that you're talking to, you're never going to get it across. The only time you're ever going to get it across is if they're thinking about themselves, even though you're bringing up Legal Shield, like maybe they have some major legal situation, or maybe they need they got a big mortgage payment coming in, they need some money and whatever. So they're just half-heartedly listening to you, because I know that because that's what happened to me. If I wouldn't have been in a perfect situation for the membership, I became a member first before I even considered being an associate. But the person that recruited me was one of my students, so I understood him from the student standpoint. One of my best students, actually. So I respected him, but I understood him and I listened to him when he was talking to me about the membership. Otherwise, I would have never bought the membership, because he was listening to me, but he kind of had to because I was his teacher. But it's a little thing that you always want to keep in mind whenever I'm talking to somebody. Keep their best interest at heart, not so much yours. I mean, I know Legal Shield's gonna come up with all these great, hey, you recruit, 5 people, and we're gonna give you a gold star in the mail, and and all this and that, and Don Thompson's gonna give you a high five, and John Hoffman be proud of you and all that, and that's good. All of that's good. Don't ever get me wrong with that, but understand where they're coming from. Am I keeping their best interest at heart? Are they coming like my team? I hear this all the time. Oh, my team's not doing anything. Yeah, they're not, I don't know. They just don't do anything. And you don't understand where they're coming from. You got to ask yourself, have I been in their house? Do I know what their situation is? You don't know. I mean, you have no idea. You're not God. I mean, you don't know what, there could be a reason why. I mean, other people, oh, they're just lazy. No, not necessarily. You have to understand them. And if they know that you care, then they're going to walk through barbed wire to help you out when you're trying to get your ring, when you're trying to do this, and you ask them for help. But if they think, hey, this person's only asking me for help because they're trying to get, whatever bonus that Legal Shield has to, something like that, and you're that kind of a leader, they're going to see you a mile away, and then you're going to be one of those that we always see, even for conventions, that are like, oh, my team doesn't do anything. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I'm not cut out for that. It's not that. You just don't understand the person that you're recruiting, and you have to come from a standpoint of listening first and opening your heart to whatever they're going through. Okay, so almost done. So the letter S. So after you understand somebody, you have to synergize. So the letter S is synergize. And how do I do that? What am I synergizing, or how am I doing that? Well, you do it on calls like this. We live in a world where there's so much muck out there, like there's so much negativity and so much. I mean, if you don't believe me, watch social media. I mean, I'm not encouraging it unless you're trying to find your next recruit, but synergize around positive people, like Teresa Johnson. I heard you call her name a little bit earlier, or Jane, or people that are very highly positive with the business. You want to be around those kind of people. How do I do that? Well, go to conference, and don't hang around the wallflowers. don't go to the hallway and talk about how bad it is. Like, hey, I haven't recruited anybody. I don't even know why I'm here. Like, don't do that. Be around Cliff Malloy. You're around Cliff Malloy, and you're not like that dude reminds me of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. Like, he's bouncing all over the place, and yeah, he's just like a fireball. you know, and so, and always in a good mood. That dude, like, I've just never seen him in a bad mood. There's a story John Hoffman tells where he took off running and he was gonna jump on the stage, and he by accident he hit his leg. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying the story because he said it like at one of the conventions. But he hit his leg, and blood was coming down from Cliff Malloy's leg, and he was just there like doing this, you know, presentation and speech, and like he was still like 100% positive. Like he was like, "Oh, it's all good," you know, and he's had so many challenges in his life. He'll share them with you, but you won't hear that from Cliff Malloy. He's just like you just want to be around that dude. So synergize around those positive people. And last but not least, the one thing you always want to do, and you're doing it on this call, you do it on all the conference calls. There's a plethora of information with our Ellis Engage, and that's sharpening your axe, the last S. So you always want to sharpen your axe, reading good books. You know, I know everybody tells you to do it, but how often do we do that? And if you're super, super busy, you can use the internet, go to YouTube, and you can look up some people like John Hoffman, has some really good stuff on there. You might have heard of his name. And he does some great training. You can do Mike Riches has some real good stuff. Darnell Self even has some really good stuff. Whoever, and here's another last but not least on the sharpening of your axe. I would say find somebody that you can resonate with. It might not be me. You might be hearing me tonight saying, "Oh, that dude just pisses me off," and it's all good. A lot of people, whoever you shine with or you synergize with, not everybody likes green chili. I know not everybody's perfect, but if you don't like it, that's okay. You know, everybody likes different stuff. My dad even likes liver and onions. I don't know why, but he does. But you want to find somebody, and that's how you do it. When you go to conference, maybe it's somebody that's not even in Shield Nation. You know, who knows? I mean, you might find someone like that Darnell Self or Brian Carruthers, or, and we got so many leaders out there. I heard Melissa Gardner. You know, there's so many. Melissa Wilder, Wilder. She's like my hero. And I just got really lucky because she used to live in El Paso when I first got started, and she became our field trainer. So I had me some Melissa Wilder at the time. Now she's Peters, but she was like kind of like my guru, and she's not part of Shield Nation, but just awesome. I mean, just awesome to do that. But find yourself somebody, like we used to say, you know, and we don't still used to. I mean, we still do. Find a workout partner that you can, or multiple that you can resonate with. And so somebody that's going to help you to sharpen your axe, somebody that you're like, you know what, Cliff Malloy, that dude really lights my fire. Well, you know, work with Cliff so you can find out, how do I get better? How do I, we say in New Mexico, how do I get gooder? I get gooder and gooder at this. And so, again, hopefully that helps somebody out today. Remember, planning, make sure that you plan, begin with the end in mind, understanding the other person. Win, you're a winner. Remember that you're always a winner. And so you can always do that. And then, understanding the other person, sorry. And then synergize with people like-minded, and then sharpen your axe, like always reading good books, always doing all that stuff. And you have no choice if you do those 7 habits of being successful. It's just the way it works. If you miss any one of them, you might have a drop, but you have no choice. If you're 100% on all 7, you're going to be a ring earner, you're going to be in Jamaica, you're going to do all that cool stuff. So anyway, thank you, Ms. Jane. Appreciate it. And that's all I got. Back to you.
That's awesome. And someone just said, what's the J? Gwyneth, that was just do first things first.
Oh, yes.
He put
Yes,
the
just do the first things first. My bad if I forgot to say it. Yes.
That's okay.
Just
And
do
then,
the hardest things.
and the other one was seek to understand, then to be understood. That was one of the S's, right? Yeah. So this was,
Yes.
boy, Paul, I didn't expect you to come out with all of that. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for such an incredible training. We are at the half hour. Y'all, if you don't have that book, get it and bring it to convention and have Paul sign it for you.
All right.
So with that, you know, we are good to go. It's towards the end of the month. Put that fire under your butt. Let's all get to work. as Elizabeth Gardner would say, you know, don't think about how you're going to do it. Just do the work and believe it's happening, because that's the way it works. And we will see everybody next Monday. Will be the first Monday of the month, of course. And on Monday, we'll also have the communications show in the morning. All right, even that is the day after Easter. We got Easter this week, y'all. Friday's Good Friday. I can't believe that it's just going so fast. So everybody, I wish you all a happy Easter coming up, and we will see you next Monday. So everybody have a great evening, and bye-bye for now.
Paul, that
Jan.
was awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was
Yes, yes.
dandy.
woo woo.
Muy bien. All right.
It was amazing.
That's-
Outstanding. Great.
Oh, I like that. That's a, you're giving me a
Yeah,
military
good.
flashback. Thank you so much.
Good presentation.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so
Everybody have a
much.
safe evening.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, thank you.